We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our beautiful wisdom circle. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy that you are here. I am here, and today's going to be a very special time for us. I'm really grateful that you are making this space in your afternoon. If anybody is new, like if this is your first time ever spending time with us virtually online, or your first time seeing me or working with me, I would love to know. A lot of you are very familiar, so I'm just thrilled to see you. It has been a very exciting week around here. And so Wisdom Circle in general is sort of our open forum. It is led by intention, driven by your questions, and infused with spirit, inspired by love. And so that's the container that I have created. And Sheila's new for wisdom, but not for rituals. And so some of you may have been, in coming to rituals, but maybe haven't come to just community hangouts like this. And so it's really just a chance for us to chat. I don't come in, we have an hour together. I don't have a lot planned. I have a lot happening and on my mind and a lot that I can share. I would like to share with you just a little bit of my integration from my ayahuasca journey last weekend, which might be interesting to some of you. And then we can kind of go wherever. I will tell you, in the interest of full disclosure, I am not back yet. Meaning when you engage in deep journey, especially ayahuasca journey or sacramental journeys like that, it takes a full 7, sometimes 14, even 21 days to be really back. I don't feel like I'm back. I don't feel like I look like I'm back. So I'm not fully here. So if you're looking, I was telling my team, like, if you want me to do math or like be very linear with you, today is probably going to be a struggle. If you want me to be very much in the space of spirit and able to communicate from that level, then today's a great day. So kind of calibrate your expectations. But I will tell you that I have never felt better. I really feel, and I appreciate your kind words so much. I feel like every time I go in and come out, I am lighter. And you physically lose weight. Every time I journey, I lose 3 to 5 pounds, physical pounds, because you shed a lot. And that's actually been a huge part of my transformation over the last 3 to 4 years physically, has been all the journey work. The spark in my eye gets a little brighter every time I go in, and that's just because I'm clearing and releasing stored energy. And that's actually one of the main things. Thank you for that, Arturian. That's actually one of the main things that I was told by them to come back and share with you today, is that it's too heavy. And we aren't doing enough. We aren't doing enough to purify, to release the stored energy that is being attached to us and to our planet right now. And so I'm going to teach you a little bit about what I learned and share with you some of the pearls of wisdom that came to me. And as I said, I'm still integrating. I'm still coming through. I have a necklace that I'm wearing that my friend and jewelry designer Sylvia made. And this is really an integration piece. It's got dioptase on the front, which is known as Congo emerald. And that's a crystal for karmic integration, releasing of karmic debt. I have a lot of karmic energy, especially on my mother's line, that tends to manifest as arthritis and serious disease in later years. And so working through some of that. And then this is Dravite, brown tourmaline, which is the stone of integration. And then opal on the top, which is for transformation. So those are the things that I'm working with. So no, my journey was ayahuasca. So I wasn't working with any other plant spirits, but that's the particular medicine of choice for me, because in my experience, that is kind of the most intense transformation. But I will tell you, not everybody's ready for it, and not everybody's ready all the time. Right? I hadn't done a journey like this in about 14 or 15 months. And when people say, "Oh, are you so excited to go on journey?" I always tell them, like, I don't find it something to be excited about because it's such hard work. I love it and I'm grateful to do it, but it's not something that I think, oh, I'm excited to go and do that, because you have to really work. She brings up your stuff, right? And so we can talk about all of these things. I'm really excited to kind of see where your questions take us tonight. I'm going to smudge just because we need it. We always need it. And it's interesting because white sage was a profound part of my journey. a profound, profound, profound part. And it never has been to that extent before. I actually was working with fresh white sage during my journey, and it helped a lot with what they were showing me as rites of purification. And so if you are burning white sage, let me just remind you. And so I'm going to tell you what they reminded me to tell you, which is basically don't take any parts of your clearing practices for granted, right? You always have to. In fact, you always have to clear behind you too. You have to be careful as you do it, but you always have to bring the sage around you. Energy gets stored behind you, and so you have to make sure you're clearing passage behind you too. And so, moving your hands through the smoke, bringing it up over your head, over your shoulders, and then down over your legs. Put your feet in it. Got my foot in it. Your feet are little, transmitters and receptors of energy, right? So all of you needs to be smudged every day. I unlocked a lot of code. And so I feel like hopefully working with me will be more interesting right now because I'm transmitting different codes. And so there might be something that I'm bringing to you today that I wouldn't have been able to bring to you last week. So the one thing I will tell you is I journey for myself and I journey for you. I journey for my community. In my experience, the most powerful teachers that I have ever worked with were the ones who were really doing their own work. And the one thing I can assure you is I do my own work. I have my own teachers. I am constantly in a process of study with at least one of them at a time. I do my own inner work. I have a daily meditation practice. I smudge probably 10 times a day. And I do go on these extended journeys to try and clear, purify, learn, and then integrate. Those are the steps, the processes of any kind of shamanic journey. It's about, purification, getting clear, learning, downloading, integrating, coding, and recoding. And then it's ultimately integration so that you can find a way to bring that food back to the community, right? So no, it's really funny because since I started journeying, my reliance on food has been different. This has been over the last maybe 4 years or so. I don't quite use food the same way that I did before. And so I think that's part of my own physical transformation. And it's good because, for me anyway, because I think that a lot of people eat too much. So I've kind of reduced my caloric load on my body. I'm not making my body work as hard. And also what I found is I'm able to derive energy from multiple sources. And so food is just one of those sources. And so that's an interesting concept to me too, because I think as we, food is very 3D. In fact, in shamanic journey work, you eat to ground yourself. You eat when you want to be done with ceremony. You don't eat before ceremony. You eat when you want to come back to your body, when you want to be grounded in 3D. And so it's very, very interesting. I haven't heard a lot of healers talk about, so I'm able to use elements as food, so sun and moon as food and water, right? And so you learn how to convert energy, other kinds of energy, including energy from other people, love energy in your relationships. I use the energy from the crystals. I've learned how to, not through a conscious process, but I've learned how to begin to use some of the energy from the crystals and be able to integrate that as a source of energy for my physical being. And I've also really learned the benefits of using teas and juices and vibrational waters and things like that. And so anyway, that's one of the things that I have found is the more I journey, the less I find myself relying on food, not in any extreme way. And in fact, I've really gotten to a place of moderation where I only eat when I'm hungry in just very small amounts, enough to continue to fuel my body, but not beyond that. So I don't look as, and keep in mind, I'm a former sugar addict. Sugar and carbs and going on a low carb diet for me would have been an absolute nightmare. That would have been my biggest nightmare. And I don't remember the last time I really ate sugar. If I have a piece of cake for somebody's birthday, I can only have a little tiny bit of it. It starts to make my stomach really upset. So my body doesn't know how to convert that to energy anymore. And so because I've retrained my body to receive energy in different ways, I'm turned off by certain foods and drinks and things that I really liked before. So one of the things, that's interesting. One of the things is I wish people would look at this, and think about, look at your own patterns in your life, like your relationship to food, for example. If you have decided to look at food as a source of love or as a source of power or as a source of, relief from anxiety, then you can look and also say, well, maybe there are other sources of that. And so how can I locate that somewhere else, and actually work with yourself. If you fight yourself and just say, well, you can't have that anymore, what's going to happen? All you're going to want is that, right? You could set a chocolate cake in front of me right now. I wouldn't take a bite because my body would react to it. I don't know how to convert it. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I probably would have had half of it and felt really guilty later, right? And been stuck in an uncomfortable place. So anyway, I think that ultimately everything is an energetic issue. Your physical health is an energetic issue. Your marriage is an energetic issue. Your lack of a marriage is an energetic issue, right? Your happiness is an energetic issue. Everything is an energetic issue. And so if we address energetic issues as energetic, then we're going to get to the root cause. And this is one of the things, everybody's got their whatever they love, right? So it may not be sweets for you, but maybe you're a salty person. Like I have a friend, she just loves savory and salty. So if I put popcorn in front of her, it's game over, especially if it's got butter and truffle salt and all kinds of yummy things. But I could put a chocolate cake in front of her and she wouldn't want it. So whatever your vice is, you can work energetically with it. And it's really interesting because there's so much self-medication going on in our culture right now, right? Because we're transmitting all of this stress, and we're receiving all this stress, and our bodies don't know how to handle this. Just like our bodies don't know how to consume this toxic food that we're, being fed. Our bodies don't know what to do right now. And so we're anxious, we're afraid, we're digesting terrible things, we're not sleeping very well, and we're starting to feel tight and sore, and we just don't know what to do. And so I think it's really taking a breath and a break, you know what I mean? And figuring out what's the energetic cause of your whatever it is right now, so you can get to the root cause of it. And so one of the, it's all related, right? So one of the main things they shared with me during this journey was you have to find a way to keep a broader perspective in life. When you try to narrow things down too much or just focus on one problem or one challenge and put all of your focus there, just like when you focus on one part of your body too long, or you focus on your pain too much, or you focus on your sorrow too much, you lose your connection to spirit, because spirit is so big, it can't be anchored in any one thing that's on your mind or that's worrying you. And so the key to everything is to expand your vision. Even the key to dieting, right? To look at the fact that you can receive energy in many ways. Food is just one of your options, but you have lots of options. You have to eat to survive. I'm not saying you don't have to eat to survive, but you can derive energy from other sources. And so relying just on that, when you can actually receive what you need from a lot of different sources. Think about it this way. When you're in love, do you remember not being hungry? If you've been in love before, like the tingly, like, I want to be naked with him all the time love, like, do you remember those periods in your life and not being very hungry? Or I should say that I want to be naked with her all the time, whatever your preference is. For me, during those times, I was not hungry. And I always wondered why. And everybody does it. People fall in love, and what happens? They drop 10 pounds. Why? Because they're deriving their energy from another source. They're deriving their energy from love. They are physically deriving their nourishment from relationship, from the vibration of the union. When they stop deriving their energy from that, then they go back and they go all 3D again and start going, I need a hamburger. But when you're really in love, if you had a choice between having sex with that delicious person or having a hamburger, which would you have chosen? So what I have learned how to do is make my entire life into that relationship, where I'm hot for everything, right? So it's like I don't have to pull energy from any one particular direction, because I'm getting fed from all directions. So that's a different way of thinking about it, because you probably had that experience. And love is a source of nourishment. Love is the deepest magic that we have on this planet. The reason you hear people talk about near-death experiences and how they didn't want to come back is because they finally felt love. And then they were like, wait, I have to go back? I have to go back to Earth? I don't want to let go of this. And so they don't want to come back. And so that's why when you cross and you're drowning in that love, that beautiful, like, you are divine, you are one with the universe, all of your needs are met, you're not going to be asking for a hamburger. You know what I mean? Like, it just wouldn't happen. So anyway, I just want you to kind of chew on that for a second. So I wanted to share a little bit about the journey. I wanted to see what was on your mind. One of the main things I wanted to tell you about the journey that came through, and I thought it was really interesting for you, especially as empaths and as intuitives and psychic folks. How do you get hot for everything? That's a great question. It's probably tough for me to answer you right now because I'm in that hot for everything place. And so it's kind of like trying to explain your thought process. So let's see. Oh, we have a comment here. I'm not a foodie or have a sweet tooth, but lately I've been craving ice cream. I've been delaying on getting a divorce. Could it be because I felt a lack of love? Of course it is. And you know, be really gentle with yourself, right? Like, think about, my daughter does that. Like, she attributes human qualities to her stuffed animals and her dolls, right? And so she'll say, oh, my doll loves me, or my doll wants to play with me, or it's a natural thing to attribute love to something external. We've learned how to do that. So that ice cream may feel like it's loving you right now. But the reality is there's other ways to get that. And so if you want to make a conscious choice, like, I don't want to get my love from my food anymore. I want to get my love from another direction. One of the things I have found really, really works is to ask your spirit guides to connect you more directly with either your twin spirit, who's in the spirit world, or some of your spirit guides for love, and allow them to love you. Ask them to show you what divine love looks and feels like in dream time. Give them permission to start coming to you in your dreams. You'll wake up feeling refreshed and loved and held, and you won't spend your days searching for it in ice cream or in people who can't love you back or in, you know, bad relationships. If you can learn to see the spirit world as a source of support and sustenance and spiritual nourishment, and that if you ask, they'll receive and begin to commune more directly with you, show you what love feels like. Because they can, on the spirit side, they can fill that hole that you keep trying to fill with food or people or stuff that you buy or whatever. You know, I mean, everybody has a hole and everybody's trying to fill it. We came into this planet, we have a hole by definition because we're separated from source. And we're here thinking that we're all alone. It's the biggest illusion of all time, but we have to live in the illusion, right? So it's like, how do you make that work for you? I think it's really, really important. Yeah, Eileen has MS and has to make these good food choices. And Eileen, I do too, right? And it's really funny because I have a good friend in the spiritual community who also has MS. I've had MS for 10 years. She's had it for 20. And she's healthy as well. And one of the things we were talking about was the fact that MS, you know, you can be recoded. Your energetic system can be recoded when you have a disease. So I believe that. And you can work with your spirit guides to recode it. That's one of the reasons I go into journey space, because when you're in journey space, in this particular case, it was multiple hours. You are not connected, right, to your conscious 3D reality. And so they're able to work with you more directly in a journey space than they can when you're just sitting around in your living room, having dinner with your family in the dining room. You know, they need to kind of get you off the grid so that they can manipulate your energy. But I really do think that the root of everything, how you feel, how prosperous your life is, how, you know, intense your love life is, how happy and satisfied you are, they're all energetic issues. And they're all the same, actually. So in my case, what I tend to see is when people are struggling, they don't feel like they have any creative outlet. They usually feel like they have no sexual outlet. They usually feel like they have no, you know, everything's related. So if everything is great, then everything is great. And if one thing is bad, it's usually 10 other things are suffering too. So you have to look at your body as a system, right? Yeah, so give your guides permission to come into dream time and recode you. But you have to trust them a little bit, you know, and one of the things, I don't know if this happens to you, but I'm kind of a control freak. You know, so I remember my first journey, they were talking about recoding me, and I gave them permission, but I was also like, what are you recoding and what are you recoding it to? And part of you has to give up the need to know. Like, if you really give your guides permission to recode your body, I gave them permission to recode my body toward optimal health and metabolic function. So if you really give them permission to do that, then you're going to go through spontaneous changes. You're not going to be able to explain it. All of a sudden, you are going to want more of these foods and less of these foods, or less food in general. Or you're going to, you know, want to move your body more. Or all of a sudden, you're going to feel like you want to dance and you don't even know why. You've never been into dancing, but all of a sudden you want to dance. Like if you give them permission to recode you, then when these changes start happening, you have to kind of go, I think that's the recoding. Remember that thing I gave them permission to do? It's happening. And with me, it's kind of fun because I'm in front of, on Facebook, I'm in front of 700,000 people a day. So everybody gets to watch me kind of go through this fun morphing process, because I can tell you 1,000% that I feel like I am reverse aging. I feel 20 years younger than I did 10 years ago. And I feel like I look 20 years younger than I did 10 years ago. And I haven't done anything artificial, just journeying and transforming my relationship to energy. So if I can do it, you can do it. I'm trying to kind of document my process too, including the journeying, because afterward I want to be able to write about it and say, like, these are the 10 things I did on my path. They may not work for you, but these are the 10 things that helped me to push through. But it isn't even so much how you look, you know what I mean? Like, it's how you feel. Do you feel vital and alive and possible? I feel optimistic. And I'll tell you, I think that's the root of everything, because hope drives the entire bus of life, does it not? If you feel like you can still hope, I love you guys. If you feel like you still have hope, then your bus can still be driven. You cannot give up yet. But I think, like, hope is the fuel for the entire universe. The entire universe rests on your hope. So what do you hope for right now? And put all of your energy, right? Like, I mean, it's funny. People go back to my videos from a couple of years ago and they're like, what happened to you? It's like, yeah, good question. I reconnected to source and plugged back in. And my life is really different, and you can do it too. It's not that hard, but you have to be intentional about it. You have to be disciplined about it. You have to come up with a spiritual practice, which is why I'm here as your teacher. It's like, let's talk about this. Hell, I think it's the best possible use of the next 35 minutes. How are you going to get yourself into a place where you're in such alignment and communication, and you're allowing the process to happen rather than resisting it at every turn, right? Because what I've seen happen too sometimes is people will say, okay, guides, recode me. And then the recoding process starts and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If it's going to mean I have to change anything, then I don't want to do that. I want everything just the way it is now, but then I want to be recoded. And it's like, no, your life will change. But the people who are supposed to be with you on this journey will stay with you. The people who are supposed to not will ping themselves off to another place. And that's also beautiful. But so you ready? I have a new tool. I have a new tool. Every time I come out of ceremony, I have some new tool. There's actually a really beautiful story about this wand. This is dolphin vertebrae right here. Sacred tool made by an artisan in Mexico. In a location where dolphins, for whatever reason, tend to shed their bodies when they go through their passages. Basically it's where they all come to let go. And so all these vertebrae get found on the beaches down there. And this woman took, the beautiful cactus, the beautiful cholla cactus, and hand painted it, and then took the dolphin vertebrae. I wish I could really show you the detail on it, because it's so. Do you see it? It's like sacred geometry, you guys. That is the inner vertebrae of a dolphin. You should reach your hand out and just touch it. I'll hold it really steady for you so you can receive that dolphin medicine. Do you feel the energy of it? It's pretty incredible, right? So, I don't exactly know how this tool ended up in my hands. It's kind of a little bit of the magic of the weekend, but this is a cord cutting wand. And it's a cord cutting wand because it represents the death cycles of what I would say is probably the most magical creature on the planet, as well as one of the most powerful in terms of ceremony cactuses on the planet. This is both of their death songs. And so what this wand does is very ably cut through anything that needs to be purified or released with grace in a natural way. Okay. That's what's really cool, is these were natural death cycles. This wasn't imposed. And so this is an honoring of the conclusion of energy. the conclusion of a cycle. Isn't that interesting? So here's what I wanted to tell you. Because I'm still integrating, I don't fully know what the medicine of this journey is. I'll probably know it next month, at the end of the whole integration cycle. But one of the main things they told me is the whole planet right now is trying to work with its solar plexus and its root chakra. We're worried. There's a lot of fear on the planet right now, which is activating the planetary root chakra. And then we don't feel empowered. We feel anxious. We feel a little manipulated. We feel unsure. And so that's activating the planet's solar plexus, right? That's the power cord of the universe. And so when you have the power center and the safety center unhinged, okay, it almost doesn't matter how good your intuition is. Do you know what I'm saying? It almost doesn't matter. We're not talking third eye. We're not talking throat. This isn't about your truth. We're not talking about love. You love enough. We're not talking about third eye. You don't have to have a deeper intuition. We're not talking about crown. This isn't even about your faith. This is about fear, anxiety, and purification. Being willing to release back to source energies that are too heavy for you to carry in your physical body. And what they told me, and it was really funny. So I want to tell you, I purged in the ceremony a lot of energy, and most of it was not mine. Most of it was stuff from, everywhere, the world, because we're just constantly sending and receiving information. And so what they told me is, you have to stop and consciously cut. And it's almost like, I want you to visualize what you're cutting as this. It's dead, dry wood. We're not cutting vital, healthy, flourishing cords of service. Do you know what I mean? We're cutting off. It's almost like you're carrying around 20 or 30 pounds of dead leaves. Honestly, that's what it looked like in my journey. It looked like you're carrying around 20 or 30 pounds of dead leaves when you could just sit them and somebody would come and take them away. It's like, why are you doing that? The ridiculousness of it in the journey was profound for me, where they were like, why are you doing this? And why are they doing this? And so using the element of air and using the element of water, which is dolphin medicine, using the element of earth, right? We don't need fire. This is not a purification by fire. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? What my spirit guides have taught me, no human teacher has taught me. And it's really interesting. I've learned more from them in the last 5 years than I've ever learned from a living teacher. And one of the things they taught me, you may have heard me say this before, but I haven't said it very often, is you cannot accurately purify energy in your own field using your own element. Let me say that again. You cannot accurately release energy that's stuck in your own field using your own element. So my element is fire, which means, what did they give me? They gave me a water and earth and told me to use air element to move the energy. But they didn't give me any fire. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys have any questions about that? Because that is a very, very, very central concept to this journey. So do you know what your element is? You want to look for the element that's most replicated in your natal birth chart. So looking at sun, moon, rising, looking all the way across your chart. If you pull up your chart on astro.com, it's actually going to show you, it's going to break down earth, air, fire, water. It'll show you how many cardinal, fixed, and mutable planets you have. If it sounds like I'm talking nonsense, then this is just astrologer speak. But if you are into astrology, you'll know what I'm saying. So it'll actually break down by the quality and the element. And so what you want to do is you want to figure out, where do you have an abundance, right? So Kimberly's water, Annette's earth, lots of fire for Nicole. When you find out what your dominant element is, that is not the element that you can use to banish or send energy back. Okay, that's the energy element that you use to conjure and receive. It is not the element you use to cut and return. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful, because it took me a long time to really understand that. And I always wondered why the universe didn't seem to support me in releasing to fire. Like, I would do these beautiful meditations. I would go to events, and people were doing visualizations of bonfires and writing down their things they were releasing and throwing them into the fire. And I would do it and nothing moved. And that's because I was trying to banish using my own element. Yeah, so Camilla, yes, you need to use fire if you are heavy on the other elements, okay? So I have 2 cutting tools in my magical arsenal today. This is a fire tool. And so I'm going to do 2 rounds of cutting with you today live for you if you want. You're going to have a chance right now while I'm still in this journey state to have me cut through for you any cords that you are willing to gracefully remove. And what you can do is set the intention, okay, today, that you're only going to cut cords again that are withering and no longer in service to you and are ready to be returned to source. Are you guys ready for this? This is some real shit right now, let me tell you. And I did the uncomfortable part for you in Journey already. What we're doing right now in a journey space can make you feel very physically ill. And it did for a minute as all the stuff from the community was coming through. It was like I was holding a lot. And so we're going to do this today. And then we're going to talk about how to be I'm trying to think of the right word, a more responsible steward of your energy. Okay, because one of the things I realized I need to teach is how to not allow your energy to spill all over everyone and everything in your life. It's really hard. And I don't have all of the answers, but what I got was, because as soon as I clear you right now, you're going to kind of get a little bit of a clean slate. And so what you want to do now is really invest in a process, a disciplined practice by which you're going to maintain this clear state. And we'll talk about some ways to do that. Does this sound good to you guys? It sounds like it's really resonating. So maybe I'm on the right track. But what you're going to have to do, so you're going to have to figure out a tool for yourself to use. I will tell you, if you don't have a tool, I'd love to see you make one. Truly. Feathers work really well and shells work really well. So those seem to be the 2 materials that would be really good if you have shells laying around. Start, gluing stones to them and seeing what you come up with, or go on a walk or a hike with your kids and grab some, fun branches and things and attach some found feathers to them and start making yourself a tool. You don't have to have something fancy like this. It's fun to have fancy, but fancy and homemade work just as well. Isn't she beautiful though? I still I'm in love still. But see, I can get high on this. Not physically, but you know what I mean? Like I can get hot from this. So I don't need to have chocolate cake in front of me. I'm buzzing off of this. And oddly enough, it takes my appetite away. I don't know. So you want to work with the 3 elements you have the least of when you are banishing and returning energies to source. You want to work with the 3 elements you have the least of. If you have absolute balance, then you just still want to go for like the lower half, okay? But most of you have a primary element, and then a secondary element, and a tertiary element, and then you have your 4th element, your least prominent element. Well, thank you for that. Okay, you ready? You ready to do this? Let me see if there's anything else in my notes I really wanted to tell you about. I do have some fun questions, like journaling questions too. So at the end of our time together tonight, if you just want to hear some of those thoughts, I'd be happy to share those with you too. And then I would love to hear what's on your mind and coming up for you. Yeah, well, Terry has no water. So Terry, I can clear very effectively. I can clear any of you with these 2 tools because again, if you're, this is very much fire and air. This is a fire and air wand, and this is an earth and water. So I'm going to be calling you out basically. If you are fire or air, I'm going to clear you with the Amazonian wand, which is this one. This one has a beautiful, this patch was taken from a shaman in the Amazon jungle, and there's some macaw feathers. And then there's actually a snake that my friend carved into the leather. Isn't it beautiful? So there's a lot of different very fine details. There's the nautilus or the Fibonacci sequence. So there's details that you don't see unless you're super close up. So much of this, huh? Okay, all right, so we are ready. So here's one of the things that will help you know where you need to really allow this clearing to happen for you. Pain in your body, of course, is a sign that you have energy stored there. And what happens is, and think about the scenarios, right? So you get into an argument with someone and energy gets exchanged. And if you don't release that energy from that argument, which is why we smudge and it's why we use clearing gemstones and all the things that we do. But if you don't, that energy can get stored in your body, and it can get stored in any number of places. The right side of your body tends to store all of the maternal issues, including physical issues that you may have inherited from your mother's side. And the left side of your body stores the paternal. So this is all the watery feminine. This is all of the hard masculine. So first begin to notice whether it's right or left side, right? And think about that. Then you want to think about where in your body that pain is located, right? So again, if it's sciatic stuff is always root chakra, sacral chakra. It's always around you feeling blocked from opportunities or from safety. You either don't feel safe or you don't feel creatively alive, and neither of those things are good. But sciatic is always, because the sciatic runs sort of the column, what we call the sushumna, which is the energetic column that holds all of your chakras in place. And so that nerve pain that runs up and down is all about you feeling blocked, especially in those lower chakras. Okay, so lower back, right shoulder, right? So again, the shoulders, what do the shoulders do, right? So the shoulders are usually assigned, pain in the shoulders is a lack of balance. And it's usually around either your maternal responsibilities or your paternal responsibilities. So feeling out of balance between who you are to all the different people in your world. That's what shoulders tend to be. So when it's like I think of my life, right? I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a lover, I'm a friend, I'm a teacher, I'm all the things, right? And so when my right shoulder goes, it's almost always because I'm out of balance with the nurturing, how much nurturing I'm giving out versus how much I'm reclaiming back for myself. On the left side, it's usually around work for me, right? Because that's more of the masculine. So showing up in the world that way. And so that's looking at the two different sides of your body and starting to recognize, so where might that pain be coming from? And could it be anchored in something in your line that you haven't been looking at, and all the way down. So, and then weight around the middle, right, tends to be stored energy, and a lot of times it's the result of adrenal fatigue. And it's the result sometimes of not getting enough rest. So when you're up all night and you're stressed and you're anxious, it's because, you start gaining weight around the middle, that there's a connection there. And so you have to look at the fatigue of the adrenals to support you. Isn't it fun to look at all this? I know. And I mean, this is just like, we're just skimming the surface of all of this, truly just skimming the surface. But I want you to notice, because the first step to releasing stored energy is to figure out where it's lodged in the body. My mom has always had neck and, neck issues, right? And I had started to develop thyroid stuff. That's all anchored in being able to speak your truth. And as soon as I got into better alignment with who I am, right, and living my authentic truth, because that was always a trouble for women in my line, right? They would hide their spiritual beliefs, or they didn't feel like they could be honest about their practice and stuff. And so as soon as that got cleared in the line, then all of a sudden the neck problems disappear. Is that really genetics, or is that just stored energy being cleared? It's a very interesting dilemma for sure. And all the digestive stuff, everything digestive is power. Is power. One of the things that really came up in that journey for me, and it didn't feel like it was just for me, is how many times a day there are efforts to disempower you on all fronts sometimes. Have you ever thought about it? Like, whether it's with your family or whether it's professionally, somebody at work or a friend who says something, or all of the ways in which, because what we do in our culture is when we want to feel more powerful, we disempower other people. If I want to feel bigger, then I'm going to make you feel smaller. Or if I want to feel like I have more power, because maybe I don't feel very powerful, I'm going to tell you that you're not powerful. And that's what we do in our society. And we've just learned that's a conditioned behavior since kids are little, right? It's almost like default for them. Well, I don't like me, so I'm going to make fun of you or whatever, right? Bullies tend to be people who actually themselves have very low self-esteem. And so one of the things that came through in the journey is you cannot let other people's perspectives about you attach themselves to you. They don't know who you are, and they don't know why you're here. And so if you follow their advice, you are going to end up so far away from who you are and what you're meant to do. And that discredits the entire universe. You literally almost, and this is really what I took away from it, and again, not just for me, but for you, you literally almost have to put blinders on. Really, I mean, unless you're talking to, a teacher or someone who knows you and supports you and, understands you, or a family member who really like gets you and understands what's happening. But if you let yourself be swayed by every effort in this universe to disempower you, and that's honestly, over time, that's what's happened to women in our society. There have been so many efforts to disempower us. Why do you think, and this is a real question for you, why do you think I sit here? There are lots of different ways that I could do my work that don't really require me sitting here for free with you for an hour, just talking about things. I don't have to do this. The reason I'm doing it is because I'm absolutely insistent that we shift some of the paradigms for women, and that we start to normalize what it means for women to talk about energy and magic and transformation. And we have to get out of these cycles of depression and anxiety and disempowerment. And so while I don't have to do this, I do it, and even subject myself to scrutiny sometimes for it, right? I kind of don't care, because this is why I'm here. I'm here to tell you that if you want to be happy, you're going to have to sit up straight, and you're going to have to start taking responsibility for your energy, and you're going to have to really change who and what you listen to in your life. And you're going to have to learn to hear the sound of your own voice and trust it above all others. Because if you go through this life and you let other people tell you who you are and attach all their shit to you, I promise you, you will end up very sick. And I'm very sorry to tell you that. It won't go well for you. And guess what? All those people who attach their shit to you, it ain't their problem. And so you have a choice. You have a choice. And every day you're going to say, I'm going to figure out who I am. I'm going to learn to trust the sound of my own voice. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to be, and I'm going to do my very best to bring as much love to this planet as I can for the time that I have. And that's pretty much what I care about right now. Right? And so, and you can listen to the news or anything else you want all day long. How you spend your time is up to you. But the reality is, there's only one place where your energy and your attention and your focus and your love need to go all the time. There's only one place. Yeah, and here's the thing. It's really funny. You know what I learned, and I really saw this in Journey too. And it was big medicine. So I want you to think about this for a minute. If not me, if not you, then who? Right? How many people do you see really trying to be brave in this world right now and say, this isn't what we should be focusing on? We are focused on all the wrong things. Who's really trying to be brave and say that right now? So say it in your way, however you're going to say it and whoever you're going to say it to, and recognize that there are going to be people who don't agree with you, maybe think you're crazy, whatevs. You are here with a very important purpose, and I don't know what that is, but I do know that you're not going to achieve it by letting other people tell you who you are and what's true for you. Aho, and on we go. But it was really beautiful. One of the sweetest things, before I clear you, one of the sweetest things I received was just such a, there was a sense of gratitude, which was really nice. There was a sense of gratitude for me, which I felt, and it was very profound. There was really a reminder to me of how important it is to remind you and to remind myself not to take the process for granted, right? Like, keep your daily practice. Make sure that you are smudging. Make sure you're cutting cords. Make sure that when something bothers you or stops you in your tracks, that you send that energy back to its source. Do it with me right now. Ready? Put your hand up. I'm using my projecting hand, my sending hand. Are you ready? Right now. Send all energy that you are holding that does not belong to you, that does not serve you, that is not in alignment with your frequency right now. We're sending it back to its source with love, with the same intensity as it was sent to us, with the same purity that it was sent to us. In other words, you're just sending back what you got. If what you were sent was really beautiful, that person and people are going to get a really beautiful message back. If what was sent to you was not, then they will get that back too. It's not yours to decide, but it isn't yours to hold either. And so right now, Great Spirit, support us as we return all energies that no longer serve us to their source with love and gratitude. And then with your right hand or your receiving hand, Great Spirit, we ask that you return all energies to us that are in divine alignment with our purpose, that do serve us, that are supportive of our highest good. We ask that you send all of those energies back to us at this time in their original form. In other words, everything that we sent, the love that we have sent, is coming back to us in that purest form. If you've sent anything out that you shouldn't have, that's going to come back to you too. But you need to take responsibility for that. Every time you send negative energy out, you're mean to somebody, you're unfair to somebody, you call somebody a name, you yell at somebody, you judge somebody, that's coming back to you. It's not coming back to them. And so right now you got to take it. Now, if you've done something that needs to be transmuted, let's send that energy down into the planet. Don't judge yourself. Just say, I'm going to send that vibration down into the very center of the earth. And Gaia, we ask that you receive this energy, that you can transform and transmute it and shift any code that has been sent to us that's not in alignment with the highest frequency in our body, minds, and spirit. Amen, aho, and so it is. Woo! Right? And it's okay. All of us do it. It's not like, I mean, you know, I got mad at something that happened, somebody who'd been working at something on my house, and I got mad and I said something I shouldn't have said. It was judgmental. He broke something, right? I shouldn't have said it, but I'm human, whatever. I instantly called that energy back and sent it down to source to transmute it. I don't say a shitty thing and then just let it sit there. And then you have a headache an hour later and you go, why do I have a headache an hour later? Right? People don't connect the dots. You're responsible for the energy that you bring. You're responsible for everything you say in traffic, and that thing you said to that lady last year, and that, you know, not so nice email that you sent. You're responsible for every single thing. You got it? Yes, and no one needs to be alive for this. The dead aren't dead, my friends. They're just, bodies are not working anymore, but they're not dead. They're looking at you right here going, I'm right here. Right? Doesn't matter how many generations back it is. If you want to feel lighter, if you want to feel brighter, if you want to feel more alive, you're going to have to let this stuff go. And you're going to have to take responsibility and transmute it and not hold it, but also not send it. Okay. Are you ready to cut some cords? Now I'm going to tell you this. I really used to feel strongly. I really did. That cord cutting wasn't a good thing. And I'll tell you why. It's because I had cut a cord to a relationship that I really didn't want to lose yet. This was 20 years ago, okay? I cut the cord. And what I didn't know at the time was that when you cut a cord, you can't ever reestablish it at the original point of attachment. When you cut a cord, you can't ever reestablish it at the original point of attachment. You can reestablish it, but it's going to be a new cord, okay? I didn't know that. I shouldn't have done it, okay? And so what I told myself afterward was, I'm never going to cut a cord again. I will narrow a cord, but I'm never going to cut a cord. We have a siren. We always send good energy to the sirens. We live here at Sage Goddess next to a fire department, so we always send good energy that they get through clearly and quickly to their destination. Okay, so I decided I was only going to narrow cords. I wasn't going to cut cords anymore. But you know what? In Journey this weekend, and one of the number one messages they gave me was, you got to change that perspective. Just because you cut a cord once that shouldn't have been cut doesn't mean that you shouldn't cut cords. They took me to task about that. And I'll tell you this too. They're not easy on me in Journey. It's not like I go in and they're like, oh, Athena, love and light, you know. Another siren. They're not easy on me. And so it's really funny. I feel like I do my hardest spiritual work with my biggest critics when I go into journey, but they're also very loving and very gentle in their own way too. Okay, so you can narrow a cord, and what I do is through visualization. I actually imagine, because cords can be really big, right? Like especially like, you know, husband-wife cords, child-parent cords are very, very big, thick, luscious cords, right? That are meant to last a lifetime. So what I do is I visualize narrowing the cord, just sort of like closing off the dilation, right? So that less energy can get through. So I can take a cord like this and end up making it, you know, maybe an inch around. And so you kind of siphon off the energy. But what they told me this weekend was not enough. Okay. What I was shown this weekend is what you do is you take your tools. So I'm going to do this for you. This is the air and water clearing. The other one is fire and, now this is earth and water. The other one is fire and air. Ready? Earth and water, fire and air. So I'm clearing for you with this next cut if you're earth and water. So what they told me is it's really important to surrender the what to the guides. So whatever cords need to be cut at this time, just give your guides permission now. Yeah, if you're still married, you can cut a cord with your partner. But I would leave it open and just ask your guides to now, through this cutting, allow any cords that are ready to be cut. Okay? I would leave it open. Yeah, you can cut cords to jobs. You can cut cords to souls who have departed. You can cut cords to, you know, somebody who cut you off on the street today. What's really funny is energetically, sometimes a fight with your partner can have the same energetic imprint as somebody cutting you off on the freeway. Sometimes in the field, you can't even distinguish. The cords are thicker and thinner, right? But the intensity of the imprint can be the same. And so, are you ready? Yeah, you can cut cords to you know, to health problems. You can cut cords to disease. Totally. You can cut cords to, you know, karmic, you know, energy from your lineage that isn't serving you, right? Are you ready? Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Dawn. I just felt like it was good to give you the backstory because I have been pretty consistent all these years in saying, be careful when you cut cords and stuff. And what I'm trying to show you is I'm 45. I've been doing metaphysical work since I was 15 and could afford to get my first book. If I'm still figuring out myself 30 years into this work, pretty much doing it as a full-time job for the last decade, then I think it's okay for you to ebb and flow. Do you know what I mean? And the other thing is I'm a huge work in progress. I'm so much better of a human being right now today than I was even a year ago. But I've gone through this whole process of like, I want my life to be aligned. I don't want to have anything out of alignment. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but I want to be consistent across all the parts of my life. So it's a constant like fine tuning and tightening. And can I get better in this? And can I be sweeter about that? And can I show more love to these people? And can I open my heart more widely to this person who hurt me? Like I'm really trying, you know what I mean? And so I think the universe looks at us who are really trying and gives us a minute. It's the jerks who aren't trying that I think the universe is like, you know, if they just constantly show they're not even going to try. But I think those of us who say, I'm trying, right? Like, I'm trying. I think we get a break. This is my theory. Oh, I love that, SB. You should walk on down and give us a hug. Okay, if we are clearing for you with water or earth energies, this is you, Pisces, Cancer, those of you who have less water and earth, right? Like me. You have less Pisces, less Cancer, less Scorpio, less Virgo, less Capricorn, less Taurus, right? We have less of these things. So I want you to watch the wand. And as I turn this wand this final time from left to right, I am cutting through any cords that no longer serve you in this time and space with your permission. Amen, aho, and so it is. It is done, it is done, it is done. And let that energy just return to its source. And now I'm clearing with fire and air. So if you have less Leo, less Sagittarius, right? Less Aries, less Libra, less Gemini, less Aquarius, and I am cutting for you. If you're feeling nausea, breathe, okay? Because this made me very nauseous when I was in Journey. If you're feeling nauseous, follow my breath. Ready? And really blow through. Your breath keeps you from experiencing too deep of a level of nausea anytime in your life, but especially when you're moving through energetic issues, because they can make you feel really dizzy, really nauseous. Ready? So with this last turn from left to right, I am cutting through all cords that no longer serve you in this space and time, freeing them to return to their source for your highest good and their highest good. Amen, aho, and so it is. Okay, and now are you ready for the last piece? Are you ready for the last piece? Let that air move through. Breathe, breathe, breathe. If you're here with me, I'd lay down next to you, I'd put my hand on your chest and just let that air move. Yeah, do you feel it? We just did some big time shamanic work, sweet ones. Okay. Now, and Claudia, that's crazy town, because she just said that she smelled tobacco. I smell tobacco. I totally smell ceremonial tobacco. Those are the guides showing up, right? Like in sweet ceremony, they breathe, right? They inhale the tobacco and, right? They breathe it out over you. Okay, so now the universe does not like a vacuum. So we just cleared a whole bunch of energy. I've got chills all over my body. Are you ready? Stay with the breath. So now we're going to call in what you do want. You just released all those cords, all that energy, down those lines, old relationships, that job you quit 20 years ago and you still can't let it go, right? So now you want to call in, what do you want to call in to replace? What do you wish to experience instead? Relationships that what? What are you calling in? Cords that what? Cords that nourish you, cords that bring you prosperity, cords that empower you, cords that strengthen you, cords that see the light in you, cords that make your eyes sparkle, cords that make you hot for the universe, cords that free you from old ways of thinking, old ways of eating, right? Just what are you calling in? Cords of ease. Thank you, Cindy Conti. Nadia, love, health, understanding. Camilla is just calling in empowerment. Annette's relationships that love her. Woo! Keep with the breath. Jessica's calling in prosperity, unconditional love. Cords that are going to love you, that are going to bring wisdom to Pia, youth to Sherry, optimal health to E. Mazzy, creative fun to Jessica, continuing the growth for Kitty, flow for Maria, flow for Camilla, flow for Satril, Jessica's wisdom, Mary's balance, Debbie's health, peacefulness for Cindy Dotson, joy for Cheryl, fulfilling work for Julie Flowers, healing for Cindy Dietz. So good, isn't it? It's calling it in. And you know what? You have to name it. You got to say it out loud. That's the other thing they told me this weekend. And that goes against some things I've been doing all these years too. They were like, you keep telling people to write it down. They got to say it out loud. What are you calling in? I'm calling in cords of peace, cords of self-reflection, cords of responsibility for energy sent and received. I'm calling in cords of productivity and partnership. I'm manifesting some serious work in my life right now, and it's all about partnerships. My goal is to centralize and bring healers together from the four corners of the world to build what are going to be the most magical retreats on earth. And I am calling in those people from the four corners. And it is my plan to take care of them, nourish them, feed them, pay them, bless them, build their communities to help support them and grow who they are and expand their possibilities, and then to heal every single person who comes in contact with the healers I am gathering for total transformation. And Pele is helping. She's not happy, but she's purifying, right? Root chakra. When Pele erupts, it's because the whole planet's root chakra is foobarred. And so she's coming in, right? Love, peace, nurturing energies. Woo. Chords of growing your business, Stephanie. Chords of trust, faith, companionship. So good. Seriously, call in your tribe. I have never wanted to be closer to people than I do right now. I've never wanted to partner with people more than I do right now. I've never wanted to. I have this desire. I do so much of my work online, but I have this desire to touch and to hold and to be in physical circle with people, to hold hands and to work the physical energy system as well. So, call that in, right? Like, for all our virtual, I still really want the physical contact while we have these body forms that we're in, right? Like, I've experienced what one healer's hands on your shoulders can do for 1 minute. I've experienced what that is. And we need to call that in. Divine purpose for Larissa, Citra, love, energy, abundant, Paulette, love, peace, joy, support. Oh, I love this so much. Jacqueline's physical contact. I love you too, Larissa. Chords of healing for Cindy. Jessica, global health. Inner peace for Michelle. It's so good, right? Tonight we claim these things that we are calling in. We claim them together. We claim them for the highest good of all beings at this time on this planet. And it is done. It is done. It is done. Amen, aho, and so it is. Chords of peace, health, patience for Haley. Chords of nourishment for Kimberly. Justice, balance, confidence, connection to spirit. Amen, aho, and so it is. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Dawn. Tell your sweet Michelle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do get my once monthly community hugs. I sure do, at our full moons, and I treasure them. And treasure them. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is where I've been for the past week. And like I said, my job is to carry some of the heavier water for you. I feel like I did a lot of the physical purging so that you could come through and just enjoy sort of a clean cut. Do you feel a little bit lighter? I promise you, every time you let it go. Think about the people in your life. I have 5 or 6 of them. Think about the people in your life. This is a really good reminder for you too. Think about the people in your life who, stay with your breath. Think about the people in your life who have never let it go. They got divorced 50 years ago. They're still pissed off about it because they didn't get their child support or whatever, right? Or, their partner stood them up at the altar, or, they lost, their partners, or they lost someone and they're still bitter and they've never let it go. What do those people look like? What's their health like? Are they easy to spend time around? Or do you feel like they're just a vortex of energy and you get sucked in? You have a choice. And I want to remind you today, and I want you to remember me telling you this every time you get sucked into some shit in your life. And people try to suck me into some shit on the daily. Okay. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen to everybody. You have a choice. I want you to start today to choose to let it go. And every time you feel a low vibration, you're going to send it back to its source, right? You tell that person to F off, or you get mad, or you yell, or you're not as kind as you need to be. You're going to say, I did that. I take that energy back. I return it to source where it can be transmuted. And in its place, I send love to that person. Because everything you send out is everything that's coming back to you. And if you don't let it go, your body will age and will disease, and there won't be much you can do about it. So I wish you something much different than that. right? We all have it. We all have it in our own family. You don't have to look far. Think about Thanksgiving dinner. You probably have 3 or 4 examples of it sitting right there. Don't do that. Don't do that. The one thing I will always tell you is, right? And we all get mad. This is the other thing. Don't judge yourself. Okay. Even people who are kind of jerks to me sometimes, I'm like, you know what? You're obviously angry, but you do have to take responsibility for it. That sweet siren. It doesn't go well, friends. It doesn't go well. And you know what's the really sad part? I'll leave you with this. Some people, they have to get the medical wake-up call before they start doing this work. All of a sudden they have this, total shift, right? I have that all the time. Like I have clients who'll come and they'll say, I'm going through this transformation and it's because I got really sick and all of a sudden I didn't want to be a jerk to people anymore. And all of a sudden I didn't want to, be so critical of people. And it's like, yeah, but why does it take that for you to listen? Why does it take that? Why shouldn't it just take you saying, I want to be the lightest, brightest, happiest version of me. And so I'm going to let everything go. I'm going to let everything go. Okay. What you may experience now, I'm going to let you go for now too. You may actually get very sleepy now. And so I would encourage you, if you do get tired, we just released a lot of energy. If you can curl up somewhere and just take a 15 or 20 minute nap, just snuggle up. I would really encourage you to do that because it will help your body process and integrate. What's going to happen now, if you really did this today, is that you are going to integrate. You're going to receive, once you release a cord, this is what happened to me this weekend. Once you release that cord, you're automatically going to receive the wisdom of it. And now you have to integrate that. And whether it's wisdom of somebody who hurt you really bad, are you sleepy? I'm not joking with you. You may want to just take a little nap, and that's okay. At least the nausea is gone. Stay with your breath, right? But that's one of the things I really want you to consider is that's ultimately why we're all here. That's why we're doing this work, is so that you don't have to go through those intense struggles, that you can be in a more peaceful place. And that as your body starts to rest, your mind is going to start to rest too. So if you can give yourself, if you're starting to feel physically tired, it's because your body also needs to rest. You've released a lot of energy. And if you can stay with this and try to work with the energy and integrate it, that's when you'll start to see the benefits of feeling lighter, feeling less anxious, feeling like less pain in your body, feeling a little bit like even experiencing weight loss and some of the things that we've talked about today. Drink lots of water. I've got tea. Really just keep nourishing your body, keep hydrating your body, keep moving that energy. Remember, drinking water, especially or tea or kombucha, is moving the energy on the inside. The other thing you should really do to hydrate on the inside of your body, which is very healing, I've been doing this too, lots of fish oils. Especially the omega-3s are really, really important. So they hydrate your body from the inside. Flaxseed oil is really, really good, again, to move energy on the inside of your body. You want to hydrate. You're so welcome. Well, thank you. Cheers to all of you guys. I really appreciate you being there. And I hope that as I'm going through my own, transformation, and in a humble way too, right? And that's why I insist on telling you all the time, I don't have all the answers. And I'm human too. So I'm trying to do all this while living a very human, challenging life. And so I don't have all the answers, but I'm seeing some of them. And I'm doing my best to translate them for you too. Oh, so much love to you guys. Thank you for being there. I hope you're blessed. I hope you're truly, truly blessed. My favorite tea is chai, masala chai. You can get it on Amazon. And it has ginger and it has turmeric and it has all the things in it, all the spices. Because again, you want to drink chai tea. It activates the sacral chakra. That's your pleasure center and your desire center. It makes you hot for the world, right? So masala chai will warm you up, and the fish oils and the water will keep the energy flowing, and you're going to be in a good space. Aho, I send so much love back to you. Truly, I do. I see you doing all that hard work in the world, and I thank you for it. Thank you for standing with me while we raise the vibration, support our planet as it's ascending on its own. So true. All right, you guys. I love you too. I'll see you very soon. Have a great evening. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I forgot. This generator was with me all night. There's only one extra. Actually, I think we might have a few extra. We might put them in the shop. I think there was one flat, not one piece. We took generators in for a bunch of the sisters in my magical sabbatical, but this was an extra one, and I want to gift it to you. This holds the energy of releasing. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over to the event page and I'm going to give it away there. I'm going to do it. Let's say I'm going to give it away tomorrow morning. That way anybody else who watches tonight will be able to go and put their name in if you feel called to it. But this was with me all night in that magical space. It looks kind of washed out on screen, but it's actually really, really beautiful and clear. And it's got all kinds of beautiful inclusions in it. It's got a little rainbow on the side. Isn't it pretty? So if you would like a generator that has held the energy of that particular journey, head on over and then enjoy your nap, everybody. If you're in my classes, I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week, everybody. Take care.